And the grid will be as follows. Pole position, driver number 14, Van Napton for Fusion Motorsport. Mark Baines Motorsports, driver number 69, Joe Willoughby, will start on the outside of row 1. Oliver Gray for Next Gen Motorsport in Kart 63 will start third, and Ben Kasperzak will start on the outside of row 2. On row 3, we have the number 55 Fusion Motorsport kart of Dylan Bondy, and the number 15 Mark Baines Motorsport kart of Max Barrow. Ben Cochran on the Simon Wright Racing Designs machine will start on row 4 in kart 76 alongside privateer driver number 64 Aaron Brown. For Ollie Walker Racing, Brandon Carr in kart number 65 starts on the inside of row 5, and Joe Sheppy in the number 41 Next Gen Motorsport kart on the outside of row 5. Luke Watts for Cato Motorsport in kart 37, and the IAME Motorsport number 73 of Sian Shields on row 6. And from Ireland, J.P. Sleater in kart 16 rounds out the field. Now, this commentary is going live to the circuit, but also via the live internet stream. And the false start flag goes out. They will go around again. So during the course of the day, I will obviously be talking about what is happening off camera that I can see out of my commentary box window, but also trying to keep the viewers at home informed of what they're looking at on the screens. And again, for people here that are experiencing karting for the first time or watching it home, we've had viewers sending us in messages from Belgium, from Greece, from Turkey, from Singapore, saying that they are watching the best drivers in the UK, or most of the best drivers in the UK, in one of the biggest single weekend events in the UK. And during the course of today, we'll go through some of the history of this prestigious event. But for now, the 13 drivers on the circuit, they're not worried about that. They just need to get into the top 6 and get across the line. Van Napton, well, it all went wrong for him in qualifying yesterday, on Friday rather. It was only 41st fastest of the 44 drivers in this class, and a best finish of 15th in his 4 heat races. A lot of these drivers have had at least one DNF in the course of the last 2 days. Here we go, to the line, lights are out, we're off and racing. Napton takes the lead, wheel-to-wheel contact there between Napton and Willoughby as they both try and get to the apex of the Bruno Ferrari chicane. They go under the bridge, all 13 drivers safely through, out onto the banking, through turn 3, over the Litchfield Bridge, and then hard right downhill through turn 4 into hairpin number 1. This is a flash point as Ben Kasperzak dives to the inside to try and wrestle third place away from the number 55 kart of Dylan Bondy. The drivers are now into the second 180-degree hairpin, up the short chute, opposite the commentary and timing position, and then into the Fullerton S's. And onto the back straight, the far end of the course, they turn right at Bobby Game Corner, and then into the Mike Wilson complex. Hard right, doubling back on themselves, then 2 left-hand flicks. And out in front of the grandstand here at PFI, across the start-finish line to complete a lap. And it's number 14, Van Napton, who leads with Oliver Gray, kart 63, tucked under his rear bumper, trying to work with Van to push away from the rest. Now, Van and Oliver, 2 of the more experienced drivers in this race, they know that it doesn't matter whether they come first or second, it's getting into that top 6. The winner of this event will start the pre-final from 31st position. So you've got a lot of work to do, regardless of where you finish. The main point of interest behind the leaders will be the gap between the current 6th place driver, number 65, Brandon Carr, and the 7th place driver, number 15, Max Barrow. At the moment, that gap is 4/10 of a second. 4/10 of a second separates continuing in this event and going home early. Out of the final corner to complete lap number 2. Napton and Gray working together, slipstreaming with one another. They've pulled out a 1.6 second advantage over Joe Willoughby, who runs in 3rd in the number 69 kart. Then it's Dylan Bondy in the 55. Behind Bondy, Brandon Carr has moved into 5th, and it's Ben Kasperzak in the number 77, that green and white machine, who is on the bubble, as it were. He is the final transfer driver. Six minutes, nearly 7 minutes to go. Napton and Gray continue to lead the way. So they have done the hard bit of work. The 3rd place battle going through the Bruno Ferrari S's. Bondy and Brandon Carr trying to do what Napton and Gray are doing and just hooking up, slipstreaming with one another, not fighting each other. But as they come down towards hairpin number 1, Dylan Bondy dives to the inside to defend. You don't need to do that, because that second group of karts, the 55 of Bondy, the 65 of Carr, the 69 of Willoughby, the 77 of Kasperzak, the 41 of Sheppy, and the number 15 of Barrow. At the moment, those 6 karts, 4 of them are transferring through, 2 are going home, and it's Barrow and Sheppy who are on the outside looking in. Behind that second group, Aaron Brown runs 9th in kart number 64. Sian Shields is 10th. Ben Cochran is down in 11th. And Luke Watts runs in 12th. But those 4 drivers are already needing some assistance from those in front of them to get back into contention. And as I say that, the second group of karts go side by side through turn number 3. And emerging from the bridge at the head of that group is the Mark Baines number 69 of Joe Willoughby. Oh, Kasperzak gets very close to the rear bumper of Dylan Bondy as they come round the first hairpin. Kasperzak, who is one of 7 drivers in the 2 cadet classes that we have here today that are racing in both classes. There are 8 drivers in total doing double duty, racing in more than one class. 7 of those are in cadets. Kasperzak and Luke Watts are amongst them. Ben Kasperzak has not had a great weekend in this class. He's gone a little bit better for him in Honda, but not where he wants to be. A driver that finished 7th in last year's British Cadet Honda Championship. Up at the front, Napton and Gray continue to work together. Gray just resting his nose cone occasionally on the rear bumper of Napton's kart, not pulling out alongside Van, just running with him, picking up his slipstream, and they're just easing away. They now have a 3-second advantage over this 2, 4, 6 kart scrap for 3rd. It's Willoughby in 3rd, Bondy 4th, Kasperzak 5th, and the man under the most pressure of all is the number 65 Ollie Walker racing machine of Brandon Carr. Oh, and a change for 3rd as Bondy moves past Willoughby, and Brandon Carr uses that opportunity to squeeze past Ben Kasperzak and put himself into 5th, and then put Ben Kasperzak in the final transfer spot. And behind Kasperzak, Sheppy and Barrow just inches off the rear bumper of that number 77 kart, and Joe Sheppy in kart number 41 pushing Kasperzak along. They're trying to slowly weed out one or two of the drivers from that second group, side by side for fourth between Willoughby and Carr. Kasperzak capitalises, so does Joe Sheppy, and Brandon Carr slips to the back of that second group. Oh, and it's wheel to wheel. Bondi on the outside of the first hairpin clatters together with Max Barrow as they dispute the exit of that corner. Suddenly, Dylan Bondi, who was at the head of that group, now finds himself not only at the back of it, but about 5 kart lengths behind Barrow. So Barrow and Bondi, 7th and 8th, are on the outside looking in. Willoughby, Carr, Kasperzak and Sheppy are the 4 drivers in that group that are currently in the top 6 and in the main final. But Max Barrow goes through the Bruno Ferrari S's under the bridge, right on the rear bumper of Brandon Carr. Doesn't swing out, stays in line on the banking. So that number 15 kart, Max Barrow, the driver from Ellesmere Port in Cheshire, has done the hard work again. He's right on the rear bumper of Carr. Kasperzak is now 3rd, Willoughby 4th, Sheppy 5th, then it's Carr. Oh, and a chain reaction into that second hairpin. I think Kasperzak braked a little bit earlier than everyone else expected. They all clattered into one another, and the net result is that Barrow bumped into the rear bumper of Carr and slowed down, and Dylan Bondi had nowhere to go and also made light contact, and it slowed their momentum ever so slightly, and it just spread that group out. We're into the final 60 seconds. When the clock strikes 0, the next time the leaders come to the start-finish line, they get the last lap board. Fastest lap of the race so far has gone to the race leader Van Napton, 67.99 seconds. Napton and Gray, haven't talked about them much. They've done their job though. They got away, they've not battled with one another, they've not risked taking each other out. We'll see what happens, whether Oliver Gray is happy to sit behind Van Napton for the rest of the last lap and a half or so. Consternation down at the first hairpin. Joe Sheppy in the number 41 Next Gen Motorsport car, arms aloft as he went up the straight as if to signal to the clerk of the course that he has had something, he has been irked in some way. Well, he started this lap 5th. He's currently running 8th, so he's aggrieved about something. The last lap board goes out. Napton and Gray are clear. They just got to keep it together, not do anything silly, and they are in the pre-final. Kasperzak and Willoughby, 3rd and 4th, have got 10 kart lengths in hand over 4 karts scrapping for 2 transfer spots. The 55 of Bondi and the 65 of Carr have the positions. And, there's a problem on the banking for one of those. That is Max Barrow, who has spun on the banking. Barrow, his chances are over, and now it's going to be a straight head-to-head fight between the number 65 Ollie Walker racing kart of Brandon Carr and the number 41 of Joe Sheppy. They come up the short chute towards second hairpin. The difference between between Carr and Sheppy is about 10 kart lengths. Joe Sheppy goes through the Fullerton S's. He's going to need the 2 drivers in front of him, Bondi and Carr, to hold each other up to the final couple of corners if he is going to stand a chance of making it into the top 6. But the checkered flag comes out. Lights to flag win for Van Napton. Oliver Gray follows him home in 2nd. 3rd will be Ben Kasperzak. 4th for Joe Willoughby. Side by side for 5th between Dylan Bondi and Brandon Carr, who takes the final transfer spot in the number 65 Ollie Walker racing kart. And Joe Sheppy for Next Gen Motorsport misses out by 7/10 of a second. Sian Shields in the number 73 kart finishes in 8th place for AIM Motorsport. Then Aaron Brown in 9th. Max Barrow, well, there was an incident on the banking on that last lap, and Barrow lost out. He winds up 10th ahead of Luke Watts, Ben Cochran. Rounding out the field, the CRG Ireland entry, JP Sleater. Now I will say provisionally your qualifiers, because of course the drivers now have to go back into post-race scrutineering to be weighed and to make sure that everything is